Good morning again, friends. Good morning, Mom. Good morning, Linda. Well, here we are with the Prophet Samuel. We did an introduction last night to First Samuel, and this morning we jump in and start to read. Remember that at one point, at its origin, First Samuel and Second Samuel were simply the book of Samuel, one book. And you'll see this here because the big picture board shows the two side by side, pointing back to the origins when it was just simply one book. They're divided in two now, which isn't a bad thing given the fact that, well, look, First Samuel is 31 chapters, Second Samuel is 24, 55 chapters. There are books that are that long. Isaiah, 56. Trying to think of another one in the 50s off the top of my head. Oh, Jeremiah? Jeremiah, yeah. I I think Jeremiah gets into the 50s as well off the top of my head. If not, it's pretty close. Pretty close. All right, well, friends, let's zoom in on First Samuel and let's read. So here we are, First Samuel. The first section, Samuel's birth, Samuel's upbringing, even into Samuel's leadership. It's basically from the time of Samuel's conception until the time where there is a transition, and for the first time, the people desire not a judge, not a prophet, not that kind of a leader, but for a king. And that is where the story of Samuel really starts to fade away. Ironic that 7 out of 54, did I say? 55, 55, 31 and 24. 7 out of 55 chapters are really truly centered on Samuel. That's it. Kind of ironic that these two books have Samuel's name. I love the opening here. The first 3 chapters, Hannah, the story of Hannah, the mother of the great prophet. And how fitting that we are reading this because listen closely. There is a connection. Not an exact connection, but there is a connection between Hannah and Mary. A connection that comes through most clearly in chapter 2 in Hannah's song. And when we get there, listen and think of the Magnificat. Think of Mary's song. because Mary's song and Hannah's song fit together so beautifully. Good morning, Audrey. Let's read, friends. Pull up our reading windows, pull up the timer. I shall be reading from the left-hand column, which is the Complete Jewish Bible. Jewish biblical language sometimes sounds a little foreign to our ears. So we do have a Christian Bible, specifically the New Revised Standard Version Updated Edition on the right-hand side. I will basically primarily use that in order to point out things that explain things that sound odd to our Christian ears in Jewish biblical language. Persons, places, things aren't always spoken of in the same way. So, friends, let's read. There was a man from Ramathaim Tzophim of Ramathaim, a Zuphite, in the hills of Ephraim, whose name was Elkanah, the son of Jeroham, the son of Elihu, the son of Tohu, the son of Zuph, from Ephrat, an Ephraimite. He had two wives, one named Hannah, and the other Peninnah, or Peninnah. Peninnah had children, but Hannah had no children. This man went up from his city every year to worship and to sacrifice to Adonai Tzavot in Shiloh. Adonai Tzavot, the Lord of hosts. The two sons of Eli, Hophni and Pinchas, Hophni and Phinehas, were Kohanim of Adonai there, priests of the Lord. One day, when Elkanah was sacrificing, he gave a portion of the sacrifice to his wife Peninnah, and portions to each of her sons and daughters. But to Hannah he gave a double portion because he loved Hannah, even though Adonai had kept her from having children. Her rival taunted her and made her feel bad because Adonai had kept her from having children. He did the same every year. And each time she went up to the house of Adonai, she taunted her so much that she would cry and not eat. Her husband Elkanah said to her, Hannah, why are you crying? And why aren't you eating? Why be so sad? Am I not better to you than 10 sons? So Hannah got up after they had finished eating and drinking in Shiloh. Eli the Kohen was sitting on his seat by the doorpost of the temple of Adonai. In deep depression, she prayed to Adonai and cried. Then she took a vow. She said, Adonai Tzavot, if ye will notice how humiliated your servant is, if ye will remember me and not forget your servant, but will give your servant a male child, then I will give him to Adonai for as long as he lives, and no razor will ever come on his head. She prayed for a long time before Adonai, and as she did so, Eli was watching her lips, watching her mouth. Hannah was speaking in her heart. Her lips moved, but her voice could not be heard. So Eli thought she was drunk. Eli said to her, How long are you going to stay drunk? Stop drinking your wine. But Hannah answered, No, my lord. I am a very unhappy woman. Or as it's put over here, a woman deeply troubled. A woman deeply troubled. I think that's a little stronger than a very unhappy woman, but I have not drunk either wine or other strong liquor. Rather, I've been pouring out my soul before Adonai. Don't think of your servant as a worthless woman, because I have been speaking from the depth of my distress and anger. Then Eli replied, Go in peace. May the God of Israel grant what you have asked of him. She replied, May your servant find favor in your sight. So the woman went on her way, and she ate, and her face was no longer sad. They got up early in the morning and worshipped before Adonai, then returned and came to their home, to their house in Ramah. Elkanah had sexual relations with Hannah his wife, and Adonai remembered her. She conceived, and in due time she gave birth to a son, whom she named Samuel, because I asked Adonai for him. The husband, Elkanah, went up with all his household to offer the yearly sacrifice to Adonai and fulfill his vow. But Hannah did not go up, explaining to her husband, Not till the child has been weaned, then I will bring him so that he can appear before Adonai and live there forever. Her husband Elkanah answered her, Do what seems good to you. Stay here until you have weaned him. Only may Adonai bring about what he said. So the woman stayed behind and nursed the child until she weaned him. After weaning him, she took him up with her, along with 3 young bulls, a bushel of flour, and a skin of wine, and brought him to the house of Adonai in Shiloh, even though he was just a child. After the bull had been slaughtered, the child was brought to Eli, and she said, My lord, as sure as you live, my lord, I am the woman who stood here near you, praying to Adonai. I prayed for this child, and Adonai has granted the request I asked of him. Therefore I have loaned him to the Lord, to Adonai. As long as he lives, he is on loan to Adonai. He prostrated himself there before Adonai. It's interesting, isn't it? Looking at the difference in that last verse, and that is where we're going to pause. Next time, we'll pick up with that beautiful song of Hannah at the opening of chapter 2. But I'm just struck with what I've been accustomed to reading is something like how the NRSV ends. And they worshipped the Lord. They, the child Samuel, his mother Hannah, the priest Eli. They. But verse 28 in the complete Jewish Bible, in the Jewish biblical language, and he prostrated himself there before Adonai. Who is he? Well, trace back grammatically. Where's the connection? Where does the pronoun point back to? It seems pretty clear. Trace the pronouns back. It is this child. This child that the mother speaks of. Samuel, the child, prostrates himself before Adonai. A first subtle clue that this Samuel is someone special among the servants of God. Especially since it's not really clear how old is Samuel at this point. He's weaned. What exactly does that mean? I don't know that we know that. All right, next time, friends, we'll jump into chapter 2. Have a blessed day, dear friends. Peace be with you.